Thanks for listening to our podcast, unMetered. As a member-owned, not-for-profit electric cooperative, our focus is on providing affordable, reliable, safe electricity and outstanding member service. One way that we're doing that is by providing more avenues of communication to you, our member. Through the podcast, we hope that you will be able to find some helpful hints, tips, and things to help you conserve energy, as well as some informational pieces that will help you understand what it means to be a member. Welcome to another episode of unMetered. Extremely excited to have all of our fans out there watching. The several hundreds of you that are actually that are following this. It's kind of amazing.
We appreciate you, every one of you,
every single one of you. If one of you were missing, we would know for sure.
Most likely.
End of the month when we look through the stats, we'll know for certain.
That's right.
But again, extremely excited that everyone's out there that is listening to us and telling people about our newest communication venture, which I guess it's not really newest anymore.
That's a year old.
We're a year. Ooh.
I know. So yeah, we're old hat.
I feel like we should have a recap of all of our
Can we skip
podcasts.
episode 2?
Oh. I don't think what episode 2.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, we're very glad to have everyone here. We've had a lot of fun, and actually, we just finished up interviewing Daphne and Oudone. And
Daphne, Howard, and Oudone. Go ahead. What?
Go ahead and say it for me.
Yeah, Oudone pronounces his last name. It's a long one.
It's a long one.
Vongtsapong, I believe.
Yeah. So again, Oudone is Oudone to us, and he's a highly respected guy in our IS department. So.
I'll tell you, the stuff that they have to talk about is pretty cool. Man, I'm learning more and more, and I hope that everybody else is too. You know, from what he does in the network stuff to what Daphne does at IKEA.
Well, by IKEA you mean our engineering department.
Yeah, well, they'll understand.
They'll understand it more during the interview. But before we get to that interview, of course, we always want to mention sharing change.
That's right, sharing change. Easiest good thing you'll ever do. Round your bill up, sign up, sharingchange.org. Sign it up through the app. Sign up online. Check your bill. Done.
There's many ways to do it. Also,
or call us.
You can actually call us at 877-777-9020.
That's right.
Of course, you can sign up for Sharing Change, but you can also, if you have any concerns about your bill, or if you just if you've got a concern that you would just need to talk to someone about, you can call that number, and you can either hit 5. You can also just hold the line and not press anything, and it'll put you right into that service queue there.
Now, one thing that you can do if you have an outage is call our outage line.
Yep.
It is you can report an outage through the member services line, but we'd like you to call the outage line. It's easier, it goes in quicker. 877-777-9111. Do it on your app. Do it from the road, wherever you are. You'll pull over the side of the road, do it. But
do it on the app, or you can also do it on our website at mtmc.com/outages. You'll see that the phone number is there. You'll also see a link to get you logged into your MyMTMC account. So
either way, like Oudone says in the interview, one-stop shop.
We are a one-stop shop. And of course, we mentioned the app twice in the past, probably 30 seconds. Again, be sure to download the app at the iTunes Store or on Google Play, where you can also find our podcast.
That's right.
Kind of a two for one there. And you can also get all of our podcasts on our Facebook page, and you can also see them on YouTube. So again, as we go into this next interview, we've been going through this month talking to different areas of our cooperative. And last week we had human resources, Melissa Mayfield, and finances with Justin Fan. And in the first week of October, we actually had Chip Pinion in our systems control and Tally Floyd in our vegetation management. So if you've not yet heard those, go back, watch those. And then also finish watching this one if you decided to take a breather.
They're all really good.
They're fantastic.
I mean, they really are. It's really cool to hear some of the other things that folks are doing, and some of the other things that they do that directly or indirectly helps keep the lights on.
Exactly. So good again, hopefully you guys will enjoy this interview as much as we enjoyed having it.
We did.
And we'll see you guys back here in just a second. All right. Well, we are here with Oudone and Daphne. Again, we're going through this month talking about different areas of our the cooperative, that I guess you might say. We're kind of giving a behind the scenes look at some of the different things that employees are doing here at Middle Tennessee Electric. Now we've got Daphne Howard, and give us your position and kind of what you do.
I'm in engineering standards, and so that role actually has 2 parts. I work with NISC as far as support goes, and also our standards as far as materials and processes are related.
Okay, awesome.
So now last week we had Justin Pham on here
Yes.
from over in finance, and he said that he kind of gave a glimpse into his world, and he said that he deals with some of the materials too, as far as on the financial side. Is that something that you took? I mean, does what you do affect what he does?
Absolutely. We
Okay.
work together. I work with finance. The work orders that we do daily, the engineers design, draw, they have to have cost. And so I work with the area offices and our design engineers locally to make sure that those materials are accounted for on the work order. So
Gotcha.
that means the CUs, what we call CUs, are construction units, to make sure that that unit, say a VA1 for example, will have the nuts and bolts that are part of that unit. And as a result, it'll show up on the pick list so operations can pull that material and then go and construct it.
So it's kind of like when you go to IKEA and you buy one of those things and you get the little kit and it tells you. I mean,
That's perfect. That's a perfect
that is like a
analogy.
totally stripped down version.
It does, and this is one of those situations where I hope that you don't end up with the extra pieces.
Right,
Yes.
right.
That would probably be a poor
Right.
decision. Now, we've also got Oudone over here. And Oudone, you're going to have to say your last name because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know how to say it. I looked at it and I was like, I'm just going to call him Oudone.
Udon is fine, but Vongsampan is the last name.
Awesome. Okay. So tell us what is your position and kind of how does your job play a role in supporting the mission?
My job title is network engineer, so my responsibility is to design and enhance a network so that we can communicate. So my job is mainly work behind the scene to support the engineers out in the field and the linemen, all to make the job safe with them. We can have ability to keep their communication going, like the radios, phones, or anything in that line is on us, on our department to take care of. Servers and everything also.
So how many? Now you do it for the entire company.
That
right?
is correct.
So how many? I mean, as far as like, when we talk about lines, we talk about we have 11,000 miles line. Is there a quantitative way that you can tell us that is over what you do? I mean, you have 7,000 telephone or radio systems that you do, or
We have thousands of devices out in the field that people don't even think about. So so our thing is to keep up with the communication. So like if you want to count workstation, for example, everybody need that to do their job. Workstation, laptop, you're looking probably like 600 or 700 items.
so it's not just like telecommunications or anything. I mean, you're talking anything that communicates. You guys take care of.
That's correct. Down
So, I
to
mean-
the radios, two-way radios, and all that stuff too.
So I mean, this is
craziness.
something that's more than just like most people, I guess, would relate to the fact that most people have like an IT department, right? I mean, you work in what we call IS, so the information systems.
Correct.
But you're so much more than that, Whereas Daphne over here, she's handling more than just engineering of okay, we have to have this pole or this. I mean, she's going down into the nuts and bolts, literally, of every single piece. But and you guys are looking at more of the detail of, as you said, two-way radios, which are so important to our linemen that
Very
are talking with like dispatch or something.
Very important. So is the SCADA system. We need, in order to make it safe for our linemen to do their job, we have to be able to keep their communication have to be up to date, so they can turn off breakers and stuff, so that they can be safe.
Now, there's a lot of areas where, I mean, some folks would probably say, well, why don't you just use a cell phone? But I mean, some of our system is pretty rural. I mean, it's out there, so you're not going to get great cell service.
Correct.
And is that the primary reason you guys rely on a two-way radio?
Yeah, and also, yes, that's basically it. The cell system can be bogged down when you have a lot of calls on there. Now we're on our own frequency and everything, so we don't have to be tied down to anybody.
Nice.
It's just on us.
So, Daphne, let me ask you now. One of the questions that we kind of get into a little bit, and now that I actually understand what you do,
It makes much more sense.
yeah,
now.
I mean, completely. So now I can kind of foresee this answer, but is obviously your job is incredibly important to make sure that our folks in the field have everything they need. Service designers are able to design the way they need to because you're able to make sure that they have their pick list and everything. So, how would it affect the mission of what we do if you weren't sitting there? Not that we know anything, and not that it's going to. No.
And I guess more specifically, we're talking about the fact that if your role was not here,
not you.
If your role was not here,
right.
How would that affect the members?
Well, I like to shift it, actually. That's a very small part of what I do, even though it is important. My larger role is standards.
Okay.
And so the guidelines, the processes, trying to make sure that all of our area offices are doing things in a similar manner. So that takes a little bit more effort, and that's really the fun part of my job, because I interact with engineering and operations and sometimes safety to make sure that those processes are in place. And we host a meeting every 2 months, which we call our standards committee, formerly known as materials standards.
Okay.
But since it's so much more than just materials now, we have that meeting, and it's also an outlet so we can disseminate all the information and make sure everybody is aware of our latest developments as far as what materials we're going to use, what processes. Engineering support group wants to get out a new specification drawing. That's going to be the venue we use to get that information across.
So I know down where I live, there's a lot of construction. And I see them going to a lot of the metal poles as compared to the wood poles. So that probably has become straight from your guys' from the new standards.
Absolutely.
Really?
Those are the types of decisions we discuss. I mean, for example, someone went to a trade show and they came up with the fiberglass pole and brought that to us. Now, whether or not we use it remains to be seen, but those are the types of things that they bring to the committee, to my department, to say, is this something we want to explore?
That is crazy, because I just kind of figured that those were decisions that people were just like, hey, we're going with this now.
Yeah,
I didn't realize.
I thought maybe it was like, okay, well, in this area, it works best to have this or that.
Right.
But again, I guess it makes sense to have standards. And I think that also, I guess my question for Oudone, along the same level of standards, is, is there a standard in our communications, when it comes to how our linemen are not just how our linemen, but what our linemen use in the field? I mean, do they have a list of, okay, when they go out, they not only take the right poles, but do they take the right communication equipment with them when they go?
That's on us. We have to work with the linemen to hang those equipment out in the field. For our radios type deal, we work alongside with them to install that and test that out. So we work alongside with them.
Okay, yeah. And I think also that we in the offices even have kind of a standard. Okay, when we get, when I got signed in to being a Middle Tennessee Electric, employee, they say, okay, here's your laptop. It's, and it matches. Well, I have a newer one than Josh. It's newer than Josh's.
Our standards are not very high.
The standards are there though. That in the same way that she's managing some of the standards in the field, you guys are kind of helping the office employees have a standard of work equipment.
Correct. We have standards out for our laptop, PCs, and everything too. But I'm just a small portion of the IT. IT is pretty massive here or anywhere else. Right. So the stuff that we have support is so huge, like the infrastructure to support the AMI meters, for example. You have 220,000 meters out there. So we have to be able to make the networks to support that. So. So I mean, we definitely have standards.
That's something, I guess, that as we, and I guess it really works for both of your areas. I mean, Daphne will probably work as we start looking towards broadband. It'll obviously start to impact the whole IS, the whole IT department. As we start to interlace, our substations and things like that, and then we look as the future comes in, and we start to look at other things, how that works with your folks. I mean, I'm sure those are things you guys are looking at now too.
Well, and as Chris had mentioned at the annual meeting, we're currently putting in some fiber cable for our communication purposes, which I'm assuming kind of falls under both of y'all's domain of what that kind of standard communication looks like.
That's great. Well, good.
So again, like I said, we're very glad to have you guys come in here and talk with us a little bit.
Time flies.
It does. It goes by so quickly. I mean, we're already sitting well past our normal time that we usually go. So again, we'll definitely be looking to have you guys to have someone else come in. Not that you guys didn't do a great job, but we always like to have new faces come in here. So again, like I said, thank you guys so much for coming in here and talking to us and giving us some very interesting information and perspectives that
I had no idea. I mean, we have our own IKEA.
I mean, last week
That's right. That's right.
last week we found out we have some chefs or not so much chefs, and now we found out that we got some builders.
We have IKEA.
And
we have our own communications folks. This is awesome.
There's so many things here that we didn't know
Food service. Food service.
Full service. I like it.
Well, thank you guys for coming in,
thank you guys.
and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview with Daphne and Oudone.
See, now you know what I mean by IKEA.
Sometimes you have to hear the interview before you make the inside jokes.
Well, no. it's I'm baiting them in.
Oh, okay.
Come in and listen to the interview.
I see how it is. The marketing side's coming out there.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes.
Well, again, we were very appreciative to have Oudone and Daphne come in.
Good folks.
They play very important roles here, and not just them, but their entire areas that they represent.
And I think that's really important. All the folks that we've had on here, they're not just a one-man show or one-woman show.
Right.
I mean, they're part of a big department. They're just a small sampling of a larger department, and both of them, everybody so far has made that reference. I mean, Oudone said it today. Hey, we have a huge IT or IS department, and he's just one piece of that machine. So, it's really important just to know, yeah, we got 400 employees, and you're going to hear from just a small handful of them. So, hopefully folks have started to gain an appreciation for all of the things that keep this train moving.
And I think also that with this, we're hoping what we're trying to convey is that as a membership, you've got more than just a public face that's out there working for you. There are people behind the scenes that are working oftentimes, as Chip Pinion talks about, 24/7 to make sure that your lights are staying on and that you're able to interact with us and communicate with us if they're not.
That's right. And Oudone makes sure that you can communicate.
He is one of many. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And Daphne's working to keep the lights on.
And Daphne is the one who's actually she's sending out the IKEA kits.
That's right.
It's a little more complicated than that, I'm sure. But
listening to everybody, to everything that everybody does, they're so integral, and we don't do that much.
Fair point, but yeah. So again, like I said, we are very excited next week to actually have another pair come in from member services and billing.
This is where we get our light to shine.
This is where it's not going to be just us. We're actually going to be pulling in somebody from one of our member support specialists, and also someone who works with our billing department.
That's right.
And you'll be able to hear a little bit more about some of the roles that they play, because again, linemen get seen a lot. You remember sports people are seen a lot, and you'll actually be able to hear from kind of that next level in the member support role, which is the billing area.
That's right.
So again, it's gonna be fantastic. We always love highlighting our member services folks, but again, it was a lot of fun talking with IS, and I feel like. And engineering, excuse me, but I feel like having them come back in and kind of have some more conversations. Because just by them mentioning just one or two things, it opens up a whole other list of topics that I think would be very interesting to go through.
Yeah, and I did make the point after we wrapped the interview, and I have to get there for Daphne, just because Daphne is a huge Alabama fan. And she made it through the whole interview without saying "Roll Tide," and I was so happy about that. Not that I have a dog in any college football fight,
right? Well, and she even was able to work a Roll Tide into our Mother's Day video.
That's right,
if I remember correctly. She is a huge Tide fan. So again, we were kind of surprised it didn't get worked in there.
I figured it was going to, but it's all fun. We're one team, one fight. So it's good.
Well, again, thank you guys for listening. Be sure to enroll in Sharing Change if you've not. Also, check out MyMTMC if you've not done that, and make sure you're signed up for any type of auto pay or anything that you're looking to do there.
You know what? Real quick, since you mentioned that, if you are enrolled in auto pay, double check your credit card or debit card, the expiration date, because if it expires, it's not going to pull it out. So double check that.
Yeah, and that's something that you should be getting an email notification on. So when you enroll, make sure you check your email, because again, we're going to be sending you notifications through that. That's right. And then of course, if you do experience an outage, give us a call or send us a notification through the app. And again, it's one of those things. While yes, we do have the advanced meters. Again, it always is beneficial for you guys to send us an extra note to say, hey, by the way, my power's out, and we'll get that worked out as quickly as we can.
Well, sounds good. All right. Well, next week, big stuff.
Great people. The final episode of this cooperative month series.
That's right.
And then we'll get back into covering some other things like energy efficiency, and we'll even probably touch on some other topics that have sprung up from these conversations.
We're going to be rolling into high bills, so we'll be talking about that.
For sure. So stay tuned, and thanks for listening.
See ya. unMetered is brought to you by Middle Tennessee Electric.